The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is the aftermath of Artur Beterbiev's destructive ass-whooping versus Callum Smith. You know, could the Bivol Undisputed fight be next? We will discuss all things Beterbiev related, all things Beterbiev Bivol related here on True School Sports. As always, you guys know who I have to my left. It's the one, it's the only with the do-rag.
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome,
Pops.
Welcome all your True School subscribers.
Yeah, good to see you guys again, man. Before we get into the live, because there are some things, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, this one may take some time today. You know, we might be here for a little bit of time today. I'm anticipating somewhere between an hour and a half, 2 hour live today, because there's so much I can say about Beterbiev and Bivol and just everything that's happened since the fight. But before we get into that, just want to give you guys a little update on the schedule for the week, because you know it's a bit of a slow week in boxing. I know, like Wednesday night we got the pro box fights, Mike Williams versus Feliciano. I'll have a post-fight review on that. As far as this weekend, we got Michaela Mayer versus Natasha Jonas, but I'm probably not going live for that, so I'm probably gonna try and figure something out for Saturday.
Yeah.
And then the next big live fight reaction on this channel on True School Sports won't be till the 23rd, a week from tomorrow, when Kenshiro Taraji fights Carlos Salas. So that'll be the next big live fight reaction. There will be lives throughout the week. I'm going live twice tomorrow, and yeah, so you know, be on the lookout for that. But nonetheless, let's take some time to acknowledge the fine folks that are already here, that are already chiming in. I saw we was already getting comments before the live even started, so that's always a good thing to see. We got my man Big Supreme in the building. Says my guy.
What's going on?
Good to see Big Supreme. We got Michael Manning. Good to see Michael Manning. Saludos to Jesus M.
Saludo.
David Esther says salute BT. Shout out to David Esther. We got Abner Ortega. Saludos BT and Pops with the Puerto Rican flag.
Wepa.
And then he says, and an NPR 76 says salute to True School. So already got people here. You know, give us your thoughts below on Beterbiev and whatnot, and love to get input from you guys. As always, smash that like button so this video gets pushed out to everyone that's not subscribed to True School, and the YouTube algorithms knows that you guys like what we're putting out here. That always helps, and it's free. So please do that. Definitely subscribe. And look, man, got a lot to talk about. So much to talk about when it comes to Beterbiev. We'll start off with, you know, there was a really good article that Steve Kim wrote today, and he basically talked about how Beterbiev is such a great fighter, right? And I think there's so much we could say about Beterbiev, the fighter. You know, look, I want to show, before we go to screenshot, I wanted to show you guys this, right? Because a lot of people, you know, they underrate the boxing skills of Artur, and they say, oh, he's just strong. And you know what? I was looking at this today. Actually, we'll go to screenshot first. I was looking at this today, right? So there was this thing him doing the sledgehammer, right? I'll put that clip on the screen for you guys. But before I play the clip, look, apparently Beterbiev, when he does these little sledgehammer workouts, he posted this on Instagram a while ago. So it said, how to improve stamina. This is a freaking question in my DM. I love working with the sledgehammer. Mine's is 5 kilograms. By the way, this is not only suitable for boxing, but also all striking sports. The first time I did the fight pattern, 12 rounds for 3 minutes, 1 minute break. Basically, he does 100 reps with the damn sledgehammer every 3 minutes. Oh, wow. And he does that to boost his stamina. So look, I'm going to show you guys this, right? Because it all ties into the first point of this live of what we're talking about. So look, here's Beterbiev on the damn tire.
One side.
So yeah, that's a synopsis. That's a little taste of why Beterbiev is as strong as he is. You know, he got me. I was watching him do that today. I said the next time I go to the gym, I gotta try to get I'm gonna start counting them 100 every 3 minutes, 100 to 115 every 3 minutes or so.
I mean, I know boxers do it, so but there's a method to his craziness.
So yeah. Anyway, nonetheless, you know, Steve Kim and Steve Kim is the basis for the first point of the live. He wrote a great article called "The Demolition Man" it was on the Snack website. So shout out to the fine folks at Snack. He quoted his own excerpt from the article, and I think he described Beterbiev's fighting style to a T. And we saw it on display this week with Callum Smith. He said, Beterbiev doesn't really knock you out. He beats his foes into submission. But make no doubt about it, there is a brutal science to what he does in the boxing ring. And I like the way he put that, you know, brutal science, because I feel like people forget that last part of that statement. They understand the brutality of Beterbiev, but I think what was so great about the Callum Smith fight was that Callum Smith had enough power to where, you know, Beterbiev was more of a boxer. So you got to see the more of the scientific part of who Beterbiev is. So I like that aspect of it. And then, you know, I saw my man Johnny Boy. Shout out to Johnny Boy, and he actually changed his name to Johnny Boy Beterbiev on Twitter. I liked what he said. He said, for me, it wasn't the fact that Beterbiev won. It was how he won. One-sided dominant performance over a guy who was top 5 in the division and had serious knockout power along with some good experience. He hasn't lost his step given his age. Hardly, if at all, lost a round. Great performance. And that's pretty much what I thought. In doing my due diligent film study over the week, I just really couldn't see the whole narrative that was being spread throughout the boxing world that Artur Beterbiev was slowing down, that Artur Beterbiev you know, was gonna somehow slow down so much so to the point that Callum Smith was gonna beat him. So great assessment there from Johnny. And then the last assessment before we get to the Beterbiev Bivol talk. Right? No, I'm okay. That's the next point. The last assessment we'll get into before we get into the Beterbiev Bivol talk is Michael Montero. Shout out to him. And I thought he made a great point here on Twitter. You know, he made a great point, which is, you know, especially like before I get into what he said, when you go to the boxing gym and you start training, you always hear trainers say, punch to the target, punch to the target. And then you look around the gym at everybody else punching the bags, and they're not really punching to the target. But as Montero eloquently tweeted here, he said, Beterbiev consistently punches through the target more than any other fighter in the world today. He's a modern-day Russian-Canadian Rocky Marciano. Dmitry Bivol has to be the next. Grandpa Bob needs to call His Excellency and get it done. And as far as him being the modern-day Canadian Russian Rocky Marciano, I'm not mad at that. They both have, you know, a similar frame, similar build. I mean, Rocky Marciano, his physique was very, you know, solid, like a Beterbiev at that sort of frame. So I got no qualms about that. Look, I'm gonna tell you guys this. Last year, when me and Pops had the honor to go to New York City to watch Joe Smith Jr.'s fight against Beterbiev, you know, I had a chance to speak to a lot of Team Beterbiev. I had a chance to really pick the brains of those guys, and I kind of wanted to rehash some of those things that were said. Because look, one guy I talked to was John the Iceman Scully. And back in 2022, he said that pretty much in so many words, Artur Beterbiev's punching technique was getting better as he aged. Not so much his power. He wasn't talking about his power. When I talked to guys like Russ Amber and the guys in the team, it wasn't about his power. It was always about his technique, the science behind him as a fighter. So I want to play that for you guys. Here's what John Scully said about Artur Beterbiev last year when I interviewed him.
Something interesting yesterday when I saw you that, you know, people make a lot about Artur's age, you know, that he's 37 years old, soon to be 38. You said he's one of the only fighters you've ever seen. He's getting better at 35 and up.
If you watch his technique, his execution over the last 2 or 3 years, it's better than it's ever been in his whole career. He's a better fighter. He's the only guy I can honestly say I've ever seen who improved at the age of 35. And he's better now than he was. That's for sure. That's not me saying it, you know, to hype it up. Watch the films. He's better than he was.
Yeah, I know.
And he was saying this. Iceman, shout out to Iceman. He was saying this last year,
right?
And look at the yard fight. Look at this fight. Look at a lot of the things he was able to do in the Callum Smith fight. You know, like just even that little step back counter jab that he was letting consistently on Callum Smith. What do you think? You got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with that saying that says that wine gets better as it ages each day or each month, each year, and instead of him going the opposite and backtracking to his getting old and getting slower, he's actually getting better as time goes by. Just like wine, it gets better as time goes by.
Exactly. So when you take a guy whose punching technique is improving and he has that diligence towards the scientific part of fighting, you know, you get a really good fighter. But then when you couple that with the punching power he does have, I mean, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna play a couple more clips for you guys before we get into the Bivol talk. But like, I was interviewing one of South Florida's very own, the former light heavyweight title challenger himself, Steve Gaffard, you know, who's been in camp with like prime Sergey Kovalev, who did camp with Beterbiev. So he could actually compare Beterbiev to prime Kovalev. And here's what he said about Beterbiev's punch power in comparison to sparring a prime Kovalev. Steve Gaffar, that's what he said.
Wow.
But I was like, I've been in camp with Kovalev, and he punched really hard. So I was like, I have to go and see if the power is real. You know, I gotta see, you know, how different it is. Kovalev hit hard. Like his jabs were like most people's strong right hand.
Yeah.
And Beterbiev was just at the next level up from that. So it was pretty crazy.
So you would say the power was real.
Oh yeah, it was real. And I mean, he doesn't have skill. He doesn't have the skill level like Beterbiev, but I mean Bivol. But he he knows his way around the ring pretty well. You know, I mean, obviously he doesn't box on the back foot pretty well, but he's been in the ring. I mean, he's had hundreds of amateur fights, fought the best, you know, and you know he knows enough to where.
So there you have it. You heard it from someone that's actually like been in that square circle with Prime Kovalev, with Artur Beterbiev, made it through an actual training camp, which I think is an accomplishment. Because when I hear these stories about Beterbiev training camps, like it's crazy. It's crazy, right? So you take all those things, and then you take his humility, which we talk about a lot. You know, Artur always says he wants to become a good boxer. He even said it last year when I was in person. This is what he said about wanting to become a good boxer.
Like I do every day training for that to be one day good boxer. Keeping it easy, keeping it to the point, Joe.
There you have it. So you talk about elite boxing skills, you talk about elite discipline, you talk about punching power, amateur experience, and humility. You got a guy that I think is very dangerous, right? So that right there. Now that we got that out the way, you know, we'll talk about Bivol here in a second. But yeah, Artur Beterbiev, not just a knockout artist, but a brutal practitioner of the sweet science of boxing.
I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for how really good he is. You know what I mean?
No, I think people now are just really starting to realize, like they're really starting to realize it.
Like when we talked about this before, like you were telling me, people don't appreciate what Beterbiev can do. He can box,
punch, everything.
Punch, he can do
complete fighter.
You name it, everything he can, but he just doesn't get the credit. The same reason why we're going back to say he doesn't get the credit just as much as he doesn't get the people.
Pound pound.
Yeah, pound.
There you go.
Yeah.
Here you go. We got a couple comments. Let's address a couple of comments before we get into the Bivol talk.
Mm-hmm.
We got Montreal's very own, my main man, Usam, the fanboy killer. Shout out to him. He says, I see a lot of people writing Beterbiev off Brazil because of the Canelo fight. But a reminder for them, Canelo ain't a light heavyweight. Beterbiev had better wins at light heavyweight than Bivol, and Beterbiev is better than Canelo. Also, Beterbiev is a totally different fighter than Canelo in terms of skills. We will see who wins this battle of the jab between the two. Working with the sledgehammer not only helps your stamina, but improves your core and also gets you bigger forms. That's why his punches are so heavy. Yes, and I can attest to that. I know from last month I was doing a little bit with the sledgehammer, and I was feeling it. I was feeling improvements all over my body. And that was after, you know, a couple days, two days. All right, and I ain't really done much sense, but he's doing it every day, 300, 100 reps every, 3 minutes.
Yeah, so, and they're gonna be heavy because the sledgehammer is heavier. It gets heavier and heavier. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna eventually you're gonna catch on and it becomes second nature to you. And with that, when you're going in the ring, you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna strike with the same power without even knowing it. without realizing it.
Big Supreme says Beterbiev is going to stop Bivol. I don't think Bivol is going to go life and death with Beterbiev. Yeah, listen, I'm really intrigued because the thing about the Bivol, right? I don't think he's really ever beat anybody with his A game. I don't think he's ever got out of first gear to beat anybody. So I think he's gonna have to get out of first, second, and third gear to beat a guy like Beterbiev. So that's the intrigue from the Bivol side, I think, for me with this fight. But we got Dundada in the building. Shout out to Dundada. Rocky Marciano was a heavyweight, but he was undersized by today's standards. He was 188 pounds, which is what Beterbiev probably rehydrates to. 100%. Yeah, he would. Rocky Marciano would have been a cruiserweight in this day and age. 100%. We got Felipe in the chat. Shout out to my main man Felipe out there in Texas. Good to see you in the chat, Felipe.
Yo.
It's a close fight. Bivol and Beterbiev both are highly skilled in a great moment of their careers. This is going to be a modern day classic, and I think that's an understatement. I feel like this fight is going to be
it's going to be boxer against a fight against a boxer against the fighter.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, the only difference is that Beterbiev can switch to whatever opposition he's facing. You know what I mean? He's not just a regular plain boxer, but he got that skill to box. I think Bivol got his angles, got his punches, got his quickness, got his speed. but that's all that he's got is a lot of skills based on boxing. You know what I mean? We've seen him. Bill have some power in some of his fights, but nothing as devastating as what Beterbiev does with his opponents. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And that's the perfect segue into the next point of the live, which is, Beterbiev versus Bivol. You guys, like, look, it's gonna be in Saudi. One thing I gotta say, man, like, I was very iffy about Saudi. Listen, these Saudis, they're about getting these fights done quickly and swiftly. And you know what? That they talk in my language, right? Because you see, Bob Arum said, he said, and this was tweeted literally a couple hours ago, just before this live. He said, Artur Beterbiev was sensational against Callum Smith. Now he can look forward to an undisputed light heavyweight title showdown against Dmitry Bivol. We'll be talking to His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh about the particulars soon. So there you have it. You know, they're going to go ahead and try to make this fight happen. And it is worth noting that Beterbiev has commented about this. In fact, hold on. Before I read his comment, I wanted to show you guys a couple of things, right? I'll play you guys a couple more clips because I have clips for days in this damn live, right? Now, Beterbiev, he was speaking at the press conference about Bivol, and here's what he said about the Bivol at the press conference.
What does it mean sign? You sign a contract. He talk always like this. He last 5 years or 4 years, he tell for everyone like he gonna fight next fight with me. Now he says like I have fight like next 2 weeks, and he says like he already signed with me contract. How can he say sign contract with me because I have another fight?
Okay, so there's no contract.
He's a real boxer, you know.
Yeah. So you still need to negotiate that deal to fight for the undisputed title. Is that correct?
But it's like this always when you have two fighters.
Course,
but
yeah.
And I know nothing about fight date, nothing. Yeah. He already signed. How he that? I don't know.
So look,
I like that.
Listen, he wants to fight, but he was saying that pretty much Bivol was jumping the gun, that there was no fight signed.
He's just basically saying in different words, he's talking shit. Nothing is done.
In his own way, pretty much in his own way.
Your actions speak louder than words. And Beterbiev is saying this. What is he talking about?
Yeah.
I don't even know the date in the fight.
Well, funny enough, right? These two actually met each other when they were in Saudi. Most of you guys probably seen it, but if you haven't seen it, let me refresh memory. This is Bivol and Beterbiev when they met each other in Saudi. I'm gonna say it was a couple months ago.
Давайте сфотографируем, типа face-to-face, там, реклама. Face-to-face? Да? Undisputed. Undisputed! When's it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen, guys, next year?
I don't know. We talk about fight, but we never fight.
Dmitry? You look like you fight, yeah?
He didn't comment on that.
So you heard him. He said it right to his face. He talked about fighting, but he don't want to fight. So he pretty much said we ain't with that talking. Man, we about that action, right? But he also had other quotes after the fight. This is one of them right here for you guys. He said, and I quote, "I think it's going to happen. We don't have a choice. We need to do this.
Wow.
I respect Bivol, but he's not a great fighter. He holds one belt. I'm not great either. We're going to know who is the great fighter in this division." Ooh. So when they fight, he's taking a healthy approach. He's not downplaying Bivol, but pretty much he's saying, look, how can you say I'm great when I don't got all the belts? Yeah. And how can you say he's great when he don't got all the belts? So he said, look, the only way to settle this, we got to get in the ring and see who's who, right? And I'm all for that. I'm all for Bivol and Beterbiev getting down to business. Now, I'm going to tell you guys like this. This fight, I was reading earlier that they're targeting it for June, right? Okay. So June's the time they're targeting it for. But look, if you want to know what kind of pedigree is going to be in the ring that night,
holy shit.
This is the amateur records. And I want to, I saw this today on Twitter. This is the amateur records of both these men. Beterbiev was 295-5 as an amateur.
Holy shit.
Bivol was 268-15 as an amateur. So that's the level of pedigree we're talking about. Yeah, that's the level of skill level we're talking about. That is this fight to me. I'm gonna tell you guys like this. I'm gonna tell you. Before I go any further, I'm gonna put it to y'all straight like this. I'm gonna fully paint the picture for you. Mm-hmm. There's many fights in boxing that might be bigger, like in terms of money, in terms of gate, in terms of attention, popularity. You know, there's definitely fights that are going to be bigger than this one in terms of that. But I'm telling y'all, in terms of significance in what it really means for the history of the sport, there are a few fights that have happened in the last handful of years, 5 to 10 years, that will be as significant as Beterbiev versus Bivol. Why do you say this? Because, well, first of all, we'll start there with the amateur pedigree. Both these men are they were creme de la creme before they even threw a punch in the pros. That's number one. Once they both turned pro, they both established themselves year after year as the best at something. Like Dmitry Bivol, in my humble opinion, I think you can make the argument that in terms of being a pure technical fighter, Dmitry Bivol might just be the purest boxer in the sport today. There's no fighter that I feel has mastered the art of how to win a fight by unanimous decision in this sport right now more than a big guy like Bivol with the foot feints and the combinations and the balance and those kind of things, right? So you got that guy on one side. Then you go on the other side, you got Beterbiev, who's knocked out everything in his path, and he's been fighting real guys, good guys that don't come to lay down, high upper echelon fighters, and just making them all look like they're cans, stopping them all, right? He's the best finisher in the sport today. Nobody in boxing is a 3-belt champion with 100% knockout ratio. So he's doing something in boxing today that, quite frankly, is unprecedented, right? So you got two unprecedented, out of this world, in my opinion, all-time great caliber talents fighting each other. And thankfully, right, Beterbiev hasn't been he hasn't been in a position where, like even though he's been inactive, he hasn't he's still fresh. He has taken a lot of punishment over the years. So even though he's 40, I don't think his body's really 40. I feel like he's still younger than that. And thankfully, Bivol's in a great moment in his career too. So it's a beautiful thing. And truth be told, there will not be a more significant. And I'm even talking about even in terms of the heavyweight. To me, this is more significant than Usyk versus Fury, because with all respect to Fury and Usyk, I just think both these guys, when you add up their talent and their skill level together, and you add the talent and the skill level of Usyk and Fury together, and this is my opinion, I just think the talent between these two is a little bit more.
Prime.
You
know, you guys are right.
So, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this too before we move on to the next part about Bivol, right? This fight is not just about Undisputed. Like, unlike Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, unlike Inoue and Foam, which were all fantastic fights, great events for boxing. They were the crown who was the best in their weight class for this respective era. This fight to me is bigger than that. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that, because the winner of this fight just isn't Undisputed. The winner of this fight just isn't the man in the division. The winner of this fight just isn't top 3 pound for pound. The winner of this fight cements themselves as an all-time great of this sport. And look, I'm talking about they're going to be up there with these kind of names in the light heavyweight. I'm talking about with the Harold Johnsons and the Jimmy Bivens and the great light heavyweights of yesteryear, the Bob Fosters, the Billy Kahns, the Michael Spinks, all these guys, the Gene Tunneys, the Archie Moores of the world, Sam Langfords, the Ezra Charles. The winner of this fight is going to be on that level. And there's not a lot of fights in boxing that can put a fighter on that level for me.
And that's not saying that whichever fighter wins or whichever fighter loses, they're not going to be in that conversation within that weight class. But this is going to determine who the top of the crop, the cream of the crop is right here.
Because you got to look at it. Look, Bivol became champion in, what was it, 2017, 2016. Beterbiev has been champion. They've been champion for a long time, and they've both been dominant for a long time. And there really is right now, you can't make an argument. Like, this ain't like Spence and Crawford where, one guy was kind of this languishing around and not doing much, and then some young guy came, and then you can make the argument that he might. No, these two are clearly head and shoulders above the competition, and they've stopped everything in their path, right? So it's bigger than just Undisputed. It's bigger than just this era. This is going to put the winner in that rarefied there with the all-time greats.
And we'll stay there too.
And they're going to stay there. So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting done by June. But let me take some time to acknowledge some comments, because I know we're getting a lot of comments. Shout out to everybody here. Let me see. Who else we got? Let me see. We got Usam says, Bivol as a rhythm fighter, Beterbiev can make him guess and lands a couple shots. I think we will see what Bivol can do to adjust. Yeah, and that's what I want to see. I want to see Bivol have to use, because I've said it for years. I've said that Bivol has never really had to get out of first gear for anybody, not Canelo, nobody. He's that good at what he does that he doesn't have to do that. Now, on the contrary,
and Cruz
and Punch Perfect Boxing brought this up. There's probably no fighter on the pound for pound list that carries average opposition more than Bivol. So maybe he has one gear and nobody can figure that gear out. But listen, whether he has more gears or not, he better everything he's got in his skill set, he better bring it to the table.
And
This
I'll
fight.
tell you one thing: once you get hit by Beterbiev, man, you're gonna realize, like, hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this guy right here, he can box you. He can sit there and play you like he did Callum Smith in the fight. I can punch him back. He was just playing with it for a while. That's what I felt. No disrespect to Callum Smith, but he was just pop, pop, pop. He chooses when he really want to get at you. And I'm gonna agree with what that guy said from Ring Magazine, whatever his name was, that said that came out and said that.
Yeah.
That Beterbiev is a class above and above and above. And Bivol and Crate doesn't use his quickness and his speed or get around that ring and he catches them. We don't know. I don't think we've ever seen Bivol get hit by
Edward Torres says, the way Beterbiev cuts off the ring makes me believe that he has the edge of Bivol. Shout out to Pops.
Yeah, God bless you. God bless you.
Yeah,
but I'm saying the way he hits, like I don't think Bivol's really big got hit. I mean, he's fought top of the top, but nobody can hit that.
Shout out
the hammer like Sledgehammer like this guy.
Shout out my guy Eddie Morales. I got a lot of love for Eddie, one of my favorite subscribers. He says Bivol is gonna take all of his belts. Beterbiev not gonna talk like that after the fight. Okay, Eddie. I like that, Eddie. Okay.
See,
you know, he said it's gonna be he pretty much gonna be saying. He said, look, make another shirt, BT. Beterbiev exposed by Bivol. He going for the 3-peat. He's going for the 3-peat.
Yeah.
You know, let me see. He got Bivol shook. He's looking at his phone. That's what I said. That's what I said. They both fought in the same national team, with Beterbiev being his team captain. Yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
Correct. That is correct. That is 100% correct, Hurricane Hank. This is the best fight. But yeah, to me, this is like in this era, like people talked about like Crawford and Spence being like a Hearns Leonard.
Yeah.
Nah, this is like Hearns Leonard. This is something like that.
A fight like this magnitude, right? You think? I mean, just hypothetically speaking. Because here's we'll just have it 50-50, like an even fight.
I don't know.
There won't be no favoring in that fight. Like it'll be even, you think? Or what do you think?
Them lines are gonna move.
You think so?
Lines gonna move. Yeah, them lines. I don't think it's gonna move too crazy one way or the other. I feel like this might be an even. It might be like an even money fight, or maybe one guy comes in at like a plus
whatever,
whatever,
it ain't much.
Or it's barely above.
Yeah.
Being even money, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Usam says, just like Pop said, once you get hit by someone like Beterbiev, all your approach becomes different. If you've been in the ring, you know the saying, everyone has a yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir. It's happened plenty of times.
Mike Tyson said, you don't know until you get hit. He said?
Everybody has a plan to get punched in the face. LDUB Boxing says, are there any updates to Trevor Bryan? He's retired. He retired from the sport. He announced his retirement recently. He's going to get into doing other things that have nothing to do with boxing, or real estate, and doing some security work and whatnot. So I made a video about it. Wishing the best in retirement. That's my guy. Shout out to Trevor Bryan. Hyro got our first Hyro comment out of live. He says Spence and Crawford have a great amateur pedigree. You never mentioned that. Terrence Crawford didn't make the Olympic team, and Errol Spence Jr. didn't medal. As far as their amateur accomplishments, there were these. Terrence Crawford was a solid amateur, but Terrence Crawford didn't even make the USA team. Okay. Which isn't a knock on him. He still had a great pro career. You don't got to make the Olympic team to have a great pro career. But their amateur pedigree, when you add it up together, is not close.
It's crazy.
It's not close to Beterbiev Bivol. Not even close. None of them won an AIBA World Championship or anything like that to speak of. Crawford got he did. He got listen, it's amateur boxing. There was Paul. I'm just telling you the truth. He lost to guys like Mike Garcia in the amateurs, and who was the other guy? Saddam Ali, and was it Miguel Gonzalez, whatever his name is? I'm just saying he was a good amateur, but it wasn't like to a Beterbiev level.
Like we put these two records in front of them, they're nothing. No disrespect.
No disrespect.
Like
it's just the truth.
Compared to them. You gotta look at this reality.
It's just the truth. And even in the pros, if I'm not Crawford. Crawford is A++. But if you compare Bivol and Beterbiev to Spence, I'm sorry, they both blowing Spence out the water. They both blowing Spence out the water. Like Spence wasn't doing what these guys are doing. Like even when he was champion.
Yeah.
So that's just the truth. But nonetheless, I want to move on to my next point, right? About Beterbiev and Bivol, right? Because I feel like, and I do think this happens all the time in boxing. This happened when Bivol fought Canelo. Everyone was saying, nah, Beterbiev can't beat Bivol.
Yeah.
And now that Beterbiev put Callum Smith in the body bag, they're saying, nah, Bivol ain't beating Beterbiev. So there is such a thing in boxing as a recency bias, right? So I feel like, at least right now, at this moment in time, I'm talking January 15, 10:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I feel like Bivol is becoming a little bit of the underdog because people are starting to come to the realization that Beterbiev is more than just a knockout puncher. He's a complete fighter. Now, interestingly enough, right? I was on Twitter. I was looking at some of the reactions to the fight, and my main man, shout out to him, Sean Tatel from Fight Hype, one of my best friends in boxing. Sean, if you're out there, man, because sometimes I know you watch these lives, you might watch the playback. Sean, if you're out there, give me a phone call, man. I wanted to hear from you. But Sean Tatel himself, he said, I might have to change my pick after a few years from Bivol to Beterbiev if and when they fight. He wins that fight. He's a certified all-time great at 175. So, look, it don't happen often. I know Sean. Me and Sean, he don't change picks too often. So he's seen something. He's seen something to Beterbiev in that Callum Smith fight. And he probably saw in that fight what I saw when I sat here for 4 hours and I watched like 6 or 7 Beterbiev fights and really just started taking notes. And I said, man, Bivol, I don't know Bivol has enough tools to do it. You know, over 12 rounds for 3-4 rounds, he can box 2-3 rounds, but just Beterbiev can box, he can punch, he can cut the ring off. He's a versatile punch. I mean, it really does feel like Bivol is becoming the underdog, right? And it's not just Sean Tatel. There's other people in boxing whose opinions I actually value in this sport. And that feel like Bivol, they're picking Beterbiev. And another one of those guys before I go boxing was Stephen Breadman Edwards. He said, and I quote, "That's how you box going forward. Beterbiev should be in the pound for pound top 10. He and Bivol will be fighting for not only Hall of Fame, but all-time great status at 175. Give me Artur the Damager to take that by KO in about 8 rounds or so." So
this is not about discrediting
Bivol. Bivol's great.
Because
Bivol's the truth.
I mean, he's one of the best boxers out there, skill-wise also. But I think for so many people not giving enough credit to Beterbiev the way they should, they're starting to see Beterbiev, how big Beterbiev is and how he adapts to whatever opponent put in front of him. He'll play with you like he can punch your bag. He'll tell with you. But when he wants to take over and do his damage, he will do it. And that's not saying that he's not accessible to a knockout or get hit because he's been knocked out before. But it's very difficult when this guy just throwing bricks at you.
I saw someone say recently, I forgot where I saw it or where I was, but someone said Artur Beterbiev, he boxes the punchers and he punches the boxers.
Good point.
And that's why I feel like just in simplest terms, he punches. Let's unpack that. He punches the boxers. All right. So the guys that move, the guys that have a lot of foot speed and movement and feint, he knows how to be aggressive in a way to break those guys down. The guys that have the power to maybe hurt him or keep him honest, he boxes them in a fashion where he hurts them slowly and methodically, and then he stops them, right? So just the fact that he can do those kind of things and he's shown that over his career against many different styles, that shows you his IQ. That shows you the level he's thinking at, and that shows you the fact that hey, Artur Beterbiev is one of the highest IQ fighters out there because to get him, I don't care if you fight 20 cans, to have a 100% knockout ratio is ridiculously impressive at that level, right? So I made no secrets about it pretty much since the Lyndon Arthur fight. I got Beterbiev beating Bivol, but I think listen, man, I think this actually makes this gives Bivol a unique opportunity, right? Because I'm seeing it everyone. Everyone is now like just
waking up.
Beterbiev this and Beterbiev. Yeah, I'm telling y'all this is actually making it better for Bivol, right? Because if Bivol goes in there and he absolutely puts on a boxing masterclass and he continues to fulfill the Pernell Whitaker prophecy of him being pound number one all those years ago.
Oh, wow.
This is like makes his legacy better. It's kind of in a sense like when Muhammad Ali fought George Foreman, right? George Foreman, much like a Beterbiev, was knocking everybody out. Yeah. They said Foreman was this, Foreman was that. And when Ali met Foreman, Ali had the remedy for his ass and stopped him. And it's wins like that made Ali's legacy and his aura and how he's talked about to this present day, what it is in the sport. So it's actually a good thing for Bivol.
Mm-hmm. Would you say, we know Beterbiev ever fought Canelo, but Bivol did. Would you say that if Bivol was to fight Canelo, he would damage him worse than Bivol? Or make him look worse?
Wait, say that again?
Bivol fought Canelo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he beat him. We know how he beat him down and he exposed Canelo. Couldn't breathe. Do you think that Beterbiev would damage him, destroy him more worse than Bivol did, or expose Canelo more than he did in that fight?
What are you talking about Canelo? What we got to do with this?
Okay, you're not listening. Listen. Okay. You're not listening.
No, I heard you. No,
Bivol fought Canelo.
Yes.
Okay. Bivol exposed Canelo.
Okay.
Like he really damaged his whole appearance and everything as far as how he boxed him, outboxed and everything. Do you feel that Beterbiev will do the same thing to him?
Canelo.
If not worse? Yeah.
Yeah, he beat the shit out of Canelo. But I'm saying, why are we talking about Canelo?
I'm trying to compare Bivol to Canelo, right? I'm saying hypothetically, we go again, hypothetically.
Okay, you're saying
It better be as fuck Canelo. When he fuck the shit out of Canelo, worse or 10 times worse than fucking Bivol.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. I was trying to figure out why you brought Canelo up out of nowhere though.
Because I'm
It's
trying
not
to say
about Canelo.
No,
I'm
not talking about Canelo. My point is about Bivol and Beterbiev.
Okay,
on to the next.
It's funny you brought that up though, because somebody actually did tweet the tweet was like, if Beterbiev, if Canelo fought Benavidez, Bivol, and Beterbiev his next 3 fights, what would his record be? And I said, most people said 0-3.
Who?
Canelo versus those 3 guys.
Yeah.
I'll say 1-2.
Against who? Bivol and
he might be Benavidez, but
oh, we have to see that. Oh yeah, okay. Next,
we see.
Let's not come off the wall shit about something.
I'm trying to say
so you always think so. I get.
And then you get mad at me for asking. I'm trying to.
Okay,
they're saying Bivol will still be the favorite. Okay, well maybe by the time the fight happens. But right now there's a big recency bias going on, and I feel like now people are starting to downplay Bivol. Bivol lost to Gvozdyk in the amateurs too. Yes, I believe so too. So like I said, like Bivol, and listen. I'm gonna tell y'all something because I was a big, and I've said this before. I'll say it again for those who haven't heard me say it.
Mm-hmm.
I was a big fan of the nail, Alexander Gvozdyk. Like back at that time when he was coming up, like I remember when he fought, like even before he fought Adonis Stevenson, like when he was fighting, I forgot. I think he fought. I'm gonna say he fought Najee Mohammadi on the same card as when Usyk fought Michael Hunter, and I think it was in Maryland. They had a bunch of Ukrainians in that card, and I remember back then I was like, "Yo, this guy." He was the truth because he was like long, he was rangy, he had the same frame as Bivol, except he was an elite puncher. Like you couldn't get hit by Gvozdyk too many times, or you were gonna get put out. So he had that same boxing skill. He would pendulum step and bounce, and was defensively sound as well, just like Bivol. The only difference is he had that deadly right hand. So I like that about him. So I thought, right, because I was watching Beterbiev fight all these, going into that fight, I was like, yeah, he's cool. Tall. He comes forward. The nails and keep him at the end of that jab, and then at some point in time, Beterbiev will get lined up with a straight right hand. He'll get hurt because he had been hurt and shown some vulnerabilities in some fights, and that's not what happened. Beterbiev literally he hit this guy with every punch in his skill set that fight, and he actually was outboxing the boxer, and so you had a perception of Beterbiev going into that fight, but when he fought a guy that was good enough to bring out the best in him. Everything changed.
Yeah, shined him.
So we'll see how it goes. Bivol straight punches will get Beterbiev a problem. He gets hit with straight punches when he drops his guard at the combinations. Yeah, I think there's gonna be this fight like all high level fights will be about adjustments. Like Beterbiev is gonna have to, when he does get hit with those first, like when Bivol hits him with that 1-2 and then steps back and he starts doing that stuff. That's where Beterbiev is gonna have to make that adjustment. And then when he makes that adjustment, then Bivol is gonna have to adjust to the adjustment. So it's just about, this fight's gonna be about 2 things. Number 1, who can make the most adjustments, and number 2, can Bivol withstand what Beterbiev is gonna hit him with? That's the fight within the fight.
It's gonna be a chess game.
And Bivol mastered the old school Soviet style. People don't realize how tough it is to master Bivol style, especially fighting at his pace during 12 rounds. It's a nightmare. Yeah, it is. It really is. So I'm really intrigued to see how both guys deal with each other, because they have their styles and they do it at the highest level humanly possible. Hyro says Beterbiev is better than those midgets. You can't deny that. Beterbiev is better than midgets. Beterbiev is better than the heavyweights too. He's better than the heavyweights, better than the cruiserweights, he's better than the welterweights. He's up there. He's up there. To me, even before I didn't need to see the Callum Smith fight to know he was a skilled boxer or a top upper echelon 5-pound fighter and all that. He's been up there.
Yeah, I just think now's the time where he's getting his credit somewhat now than ever before.
Yeah. Big Supreme says, I think Bivol is going to win the first 4 rounds, and then the avalanche is going to inevitably come, and the punishment is going to add up. Ooh, okay.
Okay. Like you said.
Now, Rocky Austin says, and he's over here mentioning other channels, but I like this channel, so I'll mention him. Yeah. He said, Ness of the Boxing Voice stated yesterday that if Dave Benavidez went to 175, he could stop Artur via body shot. Ness and Callum exposed the weak. Ness said Callum Smith exposed the weak breadbasket of Beterbiev. Listen, I had the honor and I had the privilege to go on to the Boxing Voice. What was it, 2022?
Yeah. And
I remember that was the infamous episode where I walked in with my yellow Canelo exposed by Bivol shirt. Yeah. I was gassed off that win still at that time. And I remember there was a segment of that show where you know, he was literally just riding Benavidez, talking about, you know, he was calling Naoya in a way the fake monster, and he called Benavidez the real monster.
Holy
and then
crap.
I had brought up the fact that, you know, since he's such a real monster, I brought up the fact that Benavidez had an opportunity to fight Beterbiev at light heavyweight when he missed weight, and the WBC moved up to 175, and he said, "Oh no, that was Suleiman trying to take a business opportunity and this, that, and the third." And
Excuse.
so, listen, I'm sure. Listen. I know Ness likes Benavidez. I hope he does. I hope deep down he really don't believe that, because if he believes that, well, here's the thing. He believes that more than Benavidez does, because if Benavidez believed that, he would have been fought Artur Beterbiev.
For real.
Yeah. Let me see. This is a little off subject, but I saw Usyk free undercard, open time, Briedis. I'm doing a whole live on that tomorrow. But as far as the last part of your assessment, talking about Fury and Usyk, and then you're saying Opetaya and Briedis. How would Opetaya and Briedis do against Beterbiev? I'll be honest with you. I think Beterbiev will beat both those guys, to be honest with you. I think because Briedis is not going to be able to outbox Beterbiev, and he's not going to be able to outslug him. And Opetaya, as much as I like him, as skillful as he is, defense still a little too leaky for a guy like Beterbiev. Just to tell you the truth. So I feel like those would be great fights. Obviously, with Beterbiev, if he wins this fight, or Bivol if he wins this fight, the Saudis and Turkey, they're talking about you know, making Beterbiev Bivol winner versus Opetaya.
Do you think Beterbiev is going to go to the limelight after that?
We're gonna retire?
Yeah.
Personally, I think I really do think that Beterbiev really should. If he beat Bivol, just right off. 21. You know how good that looks?
I know.
21-0, 21 KO, undisputed champion. They can. I mean, if he retires, if he beats Bivol, he retires. They can't say nothing to him after that.
Yeah, because that's what he said. I've got all the belts. I'm the best to here. That's my goal is.
Like, there's nothing more to prove. Like,
you don't see him moving up or nothing no more.
I mean, he could if he wanted to.
Yeah.
And I think he'd be just fine. Beterbiev was too small for those cruiserweight. Kovalev went up to cruiserweight, and he went 12 rounds against Tervel Pulev, who isn't good and is tailor-made for Kovalev. Well, you're not wrong, but I just think that I think Kovalev, one thing that Kovalev has working against him that Beterbiev would have working in his favor, even when Kovalev in his prime, I'll still say this, is that Beterbiev has a better gas tank than Kovalev. So Beterbiev is able to throw harder shots for a longer period of time. And I think he's even better, as great of a jab as Kovalev has. And I love Kovalev. That's one of my favorite boxers. I think Beterbiev's got a better jab than Kovalev too. So, yeah. Callum Smith did get his attention in the 6th round, and that's why Beterbiev stopped playing with his food and stopped him. He did, yeah, because some of those left hooks, they were getting to that guard, you know. Khaled said on Pro Boxing Odds, it's showing that both Beterbiev are at -110, exactly even.
Like I said, yeah.
So there you have it. Those are the exact odds. No fact, no.
So that's a crazy fight that you go on.
Man said, "Good job, Dad. Your boy is okay."
Yeah,
Shout out to you. Who would win between Prime Andre Ward and Beterbiev? Good fight. You know, you're asking kind of the wrong guy, because I wasn't a big Ward guy when he was fighting, but you know, I think all the mauling that Ward does, I don't think it would work. I think he would actually have to try to actually outskill a guy like Beterbiev. All the mauling that he used to like to do to guys like Kessler and even like Kovalev to a degree, he would actually have to try to outskill Kovalev. So that would be a really fun chess match. I think that's the kind of fight that actually might bring out the best in Andre Ward and the best in Beterbiev. But I would say I'll go Beterbiev. I would go Beterbiev. And I think deep down, Ward will go Beterbiev too. That's why I retired. You know what I'm saying?
He retired before get up there. Hell no, I thought he didn't go there with that. I know you. That was like a sneaky shot. Yeah,
I had to. Yeah, he petitioned. Yeah, exactly. Benavidez petitioned to remove him from the rankings and reinstate him in the 168. Exactly. And then Hurricane Hank is stating it very bluntly and very tactfully and very concisely. Kovalev was a drunk. Beterbiev is not, and that's the difference. Beterbiev, you know that you're getting every last bit of him in training. You're getting the best version of him in the ring.
Yeah.
Kovalev, you get like 50% of him. But the crazy thing is, 50% of him was good enough for him to be a multiple-time light heavyweight champion and one of the top pound fighter in the world. So, well, there we go. So we got our first super chat on the live. Shout out to Hyro. You know, you guys know that True School Sports, we got sponsors and we got unofficial sponsors. So Big Bay Miller, I know you're going through tough times, Drill. But let us know who are the unofficial sponsors of True School Sports.
Vienna sausage, cinnamon buns, Wonder Bread, Kool-Aid with no motherfucking sugar.
Shout out to Big A Miller for the sponsors. And then as far as Hyro, he says, you ninjas aren't going live for Kenshiro Exposed. We are going live. We'll be live Tuesday on the 23rd, bright and early for Kenshiro. You can listen, Hyro. my thing with it, my thing about it is this, Hyro. If you got all this time to talk shit about me not going live for it, when I go live for it, you better show up.
We'll be looking for you.
I'll be looking for you.
Yeah.
So if you don't show up, I'm gonna expose you. You know what I'm saying?
Here you guys go. So I'll go come back and tell something.
We appreciate you, Hyro.
Thank you, Hyro.
We appreciate you, Hyro. But look, I pretty much said everything I need to say about Bivol versus Beterbiev. If y'all got anything y'all want to add about Beterbiev and Bivol, leave it down below and I'll get to it in a timely manner. But look, it wasn't just about Beterbiev on Saturday night. You know, it does take two to tango, and sometimes you need certain fighters to bring out certain attributes in great fighters, right? And for all of the negative things and the downplaying I could do with Callum Smith, the reality is he possessed enough punching power to bring out more of Artur Beterbiev, the boxer. So in that regard, I'm very appreciative and I'm very respectful to Callum Smith for that. But look, the question now becomes with Callum Smith: is it the end of the road for Callum Smith? Because there was some talk. His brother Liam did say that Callum Smith, if he couldn't win this fight, that he was really thinking about retirement a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he did have some quotes after the fight. So let's talk some Callum Smith here for a second, because Callum Smith, these are the exact quotes. You know, he said that pretty much it's hard to accept that he's not the best. And this is a tough pill to swallow. And I'll read you guys the quotes. So Callum stated the following verbatim, and I quote, "I'm disappointed. I'm used to being the best. I believe I was the best. And to accept that I'm not is hard to take. The better man won tonight. He stopped me from getting into my rhythm. He's good at just touching and stopped me from getting any momentum. He's a bit like my brother Liam. He's just always constantly touching. It's just that his touching is a little bit harder. He stopped me, but up until the knockdown, I didn't feel any power, anything power-wise. It's more that he constantly just keeps touching you and stopping you to get any sort of rhythm. No excuses. The better man won tonight. My performance wasn't the best, but he's a good champion. He turned up and he did what he had to do." So there you go. No excuses from Callum Smith. No trying to throw salt on the Artur Beterbiev victory. No. He then went on by saying about his future plans, stating the following, and I quote, "I've always set the bar very high. I've wanted to be the best. I always believed I was the best, and now it's hard to take that I'm not the best. I've got an amazing family at home. I've given a lot to boxing. I think win or lose, I didn't want to stay in boxing for a long time. I'm not making any decisions, but it's time to assess the future and see if I've got any goals that motivate me to come back to the gym. If not, then we'll see. I'm going to spend time with my family. It's been a little bit quiet over Christmas. I've got 2 little ones at home and I've missed them this week. So I'm going to go and spend some time with my family, and we will see what the future holds for Callum Smith." So yeah, look, from the sound of it, it sounds like he's ready to retire, right? But look, people can make fun of Callum Smith. And I know I talked some trash after the fight, but look, to even just forget being champion, just to even get to a fight of this magnitude,
right?
You know, there's hundreds and thousands of boxers in your weight class. You gotta have something about you mentally and physically.
And I think a lot of people wrote him off for a long time. So
he was champion, right? He was, and look, he's the guys like Canelo and Beterbiev. He's proven that he's not on that level. But as far as, because I know his big ambition in boxing is the fact that he wants to be, a 2 division. He wanted to be light heavyweight champion, right? Mm-hmm. Now, personally, if that's his goal, if he wants to just win that one last title and hang it up, then I actually think he should not retire.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you why I don't think he should retire. Because Beterbiev and Bivol are gonna fight for Undisputed this year,
right?
Which means that more than likely, whoever wins that fight is gonna drop them belts. Because I don't see Beterbiev or Bivol. Because the Saudis are already gonna offer these guys boatloads of money to fight at cruiserweight against like an Opatai or something like that. So you can win a vacant belt. And the way I see it, I feel like there could be some good fights with Callum. I mean, just to kind of go back to screen share real quickly, just to give you guys some food for thought, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go to 175. So just to give you guys some food for thought, because Callum Smith, yeah, he ain't better than Bivol or Beterbiev or any of them guys, but outside of those guys, I mean, light heavyweight's pretty thin. And I think domestically in the UK, with the way the landscape is shaping up, there's going to be some big fights for him. Like when you look at him, right? Look at the guys ranked in and around him in the weight classes. It's mostly British light heavyweights. Guys like Joshua Buatsi, guys like Dan Aziz. Now look, and Anthony Yard as well. Now look, I don't know if the whole like Ben Shalom boxer politics is going to play a role because Ben Shalom and Eddie Hearn, they got all this whole thing going on. It's mainly because of Ben Shalom. Ben Shalom. It's not really Eddie Hearn. It's really more Ben Shalom than anything. But look. Ideally, in an ideal world, Beterbiev and Bivol happens. We crown our undisputed champion, and then I would like to see Callum Smith fight Anthony Yard for one of these belts. That's the fight I would like. If I had it my way, if I was the commissioner of boxing, if Callum Smith gets another world title fight, I would like to see him fight Anthony Yard for any one of these titles. And because I feel like, look, Anthony Yard has fought the best fighters in his weight class. He wasn't able to get it done, but he's definitely proven himself to be a cut above the rest of these guys. If they want to do a big domestic fight, that's a big fight. And if not that fight, then you got the Joshua Buatsi fight. But Joshua Buatsi could have been fought Bivol before any of this Beterbiev stuff happened. Yeah. And so I'm kind of like, I like Buatsi as a fighter, but Buatsi, the businessman's kind of a fool. So for me, I'm more on the tip of like Smith versus Yard for one of the vacant belts. And if not Smith versus Yard, you got Alexander Gvozdyk. One of the guys who was part of that, Beterbiev Bivol, the original part of that era, who took some time off after the Beterbiev loss, has done a good job to get himself back in the rankings, back match fit, back fighting again. So Callum Smith against Anthony Yard or Callum Smith against Alexander Gvozdyk for the world title again. Any one of those two fights would suffice, and I'd be okay with it. You got anything to add?
Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, it's going to come to him what he really feels and what he really wants. If he still wants to go after that dream and become two-time, then there's always that possibility and that opportunity, like you're saying. But at the same token, if his heart feels like, okay, man, I fought one of the best lightweights that I feel besides Bivol that put a beating on me. You know what I mean? What more could I did the best that I could. He knocked me the fuck out twice. Maybe it's time for me just to walk away while I still can. So he's got his options. Me personally, if you accomplish what you accomplished and you've done what you've done and you did your best you can, just move on. But if you still got that hunger that you still want to be that two-time and you get an opportunity, why not?
One thing I can say about Callum Smith is I do think that boxing fans did overrate him a little bit for all these years. One thing about him that I feel like if he was hanging up right now, he would never have any regrets because he actually fought the best. He fought Beterbiev. He fought Canelo. He fought George Groves. He was in there with some real fighters. John Ryder. He was in there with some real fighters. And so he's got definitely some things to hang his hat on and be proud of. But for me, ideally, like in a perfect world, I would like to see Anthony Yard and Callum Smith fight for one of those big. Just because, especially for Anthony Yard. Anthony Yard to me is one of the true warriors of British boxing. He fought everybody. I think one of those two could ride off into the sunset.
Good money fight for both of them.
Let me see what else we got. Who do you think will establish ring generalship between Bivol and Beterbiev? Whoever wins that wins the fight. I would say Bivol probably gets the early rounds, and I think Beterbiev makes the adjustment and eventually takes over. Now this guy's been commenting this forever, right? Like he's commented this a million times. So I think I'm gonna answer you this one time, and I'm just gonna carry on. He says, "Hey,
God bless you."
I'm not even sure what that word means. Why don't you join YTP? Why don't you join YTBC panel anymore on the troll channel side? True School Sports. Why don't you act too cool for school to join panels these days? You used to do it. Are we too small time for you nowadays? No. To answer your question as directly and as honestly as possible, I'm gonna tell you like this: in 2020, during the pandemic, when there wasn't a whole lot going on in boxing, and I wasn't as a professional as I am now, I had all the time in the world for that. But like honestly, I just want to cover the sport of boxing at the highest levels. And what I found when I go to a lot of these panels is that a lot of times it can distract me from covering the sport of boxing. Beefs get started. People have issues and drama with each other. And me, like, when I'm not on YouTube, you can ask my dad. When I'm not on YouTube, I'm very much a guy that I don't like drama in my personal life. I very much like my my peace of mind. So a big reason why I stopped going on a lot of panels is because It's very toxic. It can interfere with my peace of mind. It can drain my energy. And by draining my valuable energy, that's going to sap my energy from using it for making the content that I want to make. So it's not that I think I'm too cool for anybody. It's actually I got love for everybody. Like anybody who sees me at a fight that comes up to me that says, "Hey, True School, we watch the channel." I always stop and I always talk to anybody at fights. I even like when I see channels in person at real life at fights. You know, I did a video with Punch Drunk in real life at a fight. Counter Punch Boxing News in real life at a fight. I'm really just here for the boxing, man. I'm not here for the extracurriculars.
Yeah, I don't
bullshit.
I don't.
So that's why, to answer your question, because you don't comment nothing else. Like no. I want to answer this question because I've seen this comment a million times on a million. Like he won't even comment on the videos. He's always kind of commenting, "Oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?" And the reality is, it's not that nobody's too small time for me, because if that was the case, right? In my recent Subriel Matias video, I just shouted out and gave all the credit in the world to a guy that probably has about the same amount of subscribers as you, which is Miracle Boy Boxing. It won't stay that way because he's a hell of a channel, but Miracle Boy Boxing, he's not a big channel, but I watch him all the time, and he ain't too small time. Nobody too small time for me. So I hope that answer is satisfactory. I hope that suffices. I don't got another person or nobody on YouTube. It's just that I want to cover the sport of boxing, and a lot of times these panels are toxic, and channels want to beef with each other, and I don't got time for that bullshit.
Yeah, we don't got no gossip.
No disrespect, but that's just the truth.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He'll go on channels that respect him, and that well known and this and that, but he's not going to go to his channels later on. Well, True School said, we have here sometime on our live. Hey, this channel just said about you, True School.
And to be told, I don't really care.
That energy we don't need. We just need to talk boxing. I share with our subscribers. That's your honest opinion. Respect to you, but respect his also.
But I will say this: look, anybody who sees me at a fight, because I'm going to Plant City on January 31st for Angelo Leo. I'll be in Vegas for the Pete Dobson Conor Ben fight, and I'll be in Vegas also for Tiefman Lopez Jamil Ortiz. If you see me at the fight, flag me down, say what's up, and I'll stop and talk to you. So that's what it is. I'll stop and talk to anybody. I love talking to people in person. He says, I used to come at you for liking Gallo Estrada. I don't remember that, but if I did, I'm sorry about that. Listen, Gallo Estrada's a great fighter. Gallo Estrada's a great fighter. I got all the respect in the world for Gallo Estrada. I probably rate him higher more than most people. I think Gallo Estrada is quite possibly the best. Was it super flyweight? Not super flyweight. A Mexican fighter of his era. Because unlike Canelo, he beat everybody he fought in the ring. Nobody ever got one over on Gallo Estrada. Even Roman Gonzalez, who's my favorite fighter, never got one over on Gallo Estrada.
Come back and fight him too.
So, yeah.
Victim.
Vosnik is rated too high for the crappy opposition he has been on since. Yeah, it's true. But, boxing, the boxing politics, the bureaucracy of this sport, you got the right people. If you get like because I'm pretty sure his manager's Egis Klimas, right? So Egis Klimas is a guy that has a lot of influence with these sanctioning bodies. So he don't really got to do a whole lot. He's been champion before, so he already holds standing with the WBO. So that goes a long way. He's got a good manager, so that's why he's ranked. I'm telling you why. So,
thank you.
Someone wants to know they want to know if Punch Drunk is shorter. Punch Drunk's tall. He's taller than me. I'm a short guy. Punch Drunk's a taller guy. But it is what it is. All right, what was the next thing I was going to talk about? Because it wasn't just Callum Smith. I made my points about Callum Smith. I wanted to talk about
any other undercard.
Oh no. There's one more thing. There's one more thing I wanted to talk about. Right. It was actually, what was it? Was it here? Hold on. I have everything like in my tabs right here. But shout out to everyone here. Make sure you smash that like button. No, I don't want to talk about that. So smash that like button, guys. But nonetheless, I wanted to actually talk about the Maloney's. All right, Saul Sanchez and Maloney. That was the fight that pretty much stole the whole damn show.
I want to see that again.
I want to see it again. And there were some comments made after the fight from both fighters as well as Bob Arum. So this is actually a tweet from Bob Arum earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Arum said about the fight, and I quote, "Our WBO bantamweight champion from Australia, Jason Maloney, showed tremendous courage in retaining his title against an extremely game opponent in Saul Sanchez the other night in Quebec City. It was one of the best fights I've seen in quite some time." And then Maloney responded to it himself and said, "Thank you, Bob Arum. So grateful for you giving me the opportunity to live my dream. The best has yet to come." Ooh. So Well, anytime you get someone like Bob Arum, because you guys gotta understand, these guys like Bob Arum and Brad Goodman and Bruce Chamberlain, these guys have been around boxing for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years.
Everything.
They've seen everything. So they don't really get excited about much. So for him to say something like that really holds weight. So and I think Maloney and Saul are deserving of every bit of praise because you know, you want to talk about an even fight. This was as even could get. And Saul Sanchez actually came out about an hour or a couple hours ago himself, and he said, "Thank you for the opportunity to Top Rank Boxing and Bob Arum. I would love to get a rematch and give the fans what they want, which is a war."
Oh man, I would like to see that.
And look, listen, I'm already saying it right now. There's things that could happen. There's other options. I mean, Maloney could go fight the winner of Junto Nakatani and Santiago. Maloney could fight the winner of German Akas and Takuma Inoue. But I really do think this like bantamweight has a lot of good fighters that are really like close in skill level.
Yeah.
We'll see how good Nakatani adjusted the weight class, but the champions are all kind of similar.
Right.
And so now why this fight is such a great fight for boxing, the rematch I'm talking about, is because now you got a fight that's actually going to be in demand. Like now I want to see this fight. And I think that, you know, Top Rank, I think it's such a great fight. I don't even want to see it be co-main event. Don't pair on the undercard. Take it to a smaller venue, okay? I don't care where it's got to be. It could be here in South Florida at the Charles F. Dodd City Center, where it's not a big venue, but you can sell it out easily. Put like a Xander Zayas on the undercard, some Cubans and Puerto Ricans. You'll sell it out easily. Or you can take it somewhere else that's smaller, right? But either way, I think Saul and Maloney, their pay grade should be up and increased for the next fight. And this is the fight to make in the bantamweight division for me.
That's a great fight. An unexpected fight. That's why you got to watch the fights in the cards.
Absolutely. And as far as Saul Sanchez, right, and Maloney, let's take another look at that bantamweight title picture right now because you know am I on screen share? I think I'm on screen share. We on screen share? I think we are. We are on screen share. Okay. As far as that title picture, right? Here we are. So look, it's the same. Maloney still has WBO. Manny Rodriguez has the IBF. Takuno has the WBA, and Santiago has the WBC, right? So with that being said, you know, all these guys could beat each other. I think all these guys capable of beating each other.
Right.
But this has a chance. Now it can go Maloney and Saul Sanchez rematch could go one of either two ways. Either A, Maloney, or three ways actually. Maloney either A wins a rematch in decisive fashion and he can move on with his career. B, Saul Sanchez wins in decisive fashion or just wins period, and they have a trilogy fight. Or you know, or C, Maloney wins and he can fight one of the champions, or you know, this fight could, I feel, regardless where it comes out of this whole situation between Maloney and Saul Sanchez, they will now come out of this with their stock raised to the highest level possible. And then when it comes time for one of them to fight one of the champions, now all of a sudden you got bigger fights happening in the bantamweight division. So I don't think Top Rank needs to overthink this one. Just make the damn rematch.
Go from there.
And go from there. And on another note, right? Because people were saying this, right? You know, Naoya Inoue is the only guy that's really legitimately beat Maloney.
Right.
All Maloney's close fights, wins and losses, you know, they've been close, whatever, right? Like Manny Rodriguez was a close loss. This fight against Saul Sanchez was a close win. But since Maloney got stopped by Inoue, he's 6-0.
Holy crap.
He ain't lost a fight since Inoue. So believe it or not, Jason Maloney, quiet as kept, is actually starting to become one of the best fighters Inoue ever fought. I know you have like Donaire and you know the guys like Fulton and whatever, right? But Maloney, as far as, because people like the Canelo fans, they always say, well, this win's aging like fine wine. This win's aging like fine wine.
Yeah.
He became champion. He's defended it. He's been in great fights, beat top competition, and really flying that flag real high for Australian boxing.
Yeah. And that Saul fight was a tough fight for him too.
Yeah, and look again, Kingpin, this guy on Twitter. Maloney's performance on Saturday makes Naoya Inoue even greater. How he iced him out, a force of nature. Saul Sanchez is a heavy hitter, and he landed on Maloney pretty flush. Yeah, so it goes to show you as good as a guy like Saul Sanchez is, and mind you, Saul Sanchez is damn good. Like he's the truth. Like
wow,
I like Saul. I've been a fan of Saul Sanchez since I seen him put Jericho O'Quinn out in one round.
So you've been knowing him for a minute.
Been knowing him for a couple years.
Okay.
They know who he is, right? Saul Sanchez was hitting Maloney plenty, and he wasn't doing anything to him.
Oh man,
like the way Inoue hit him,
he was feeling it then.
You know, so hopefully the Top Rank and all parties involved, they don't waste no time, and we go ahead and we
make the fight.
We go ahead and we make the fight happen. But let me see, we got some more comments. Let's get some more comments. We got Alec Powell in the building. Shout out to Alec Powell. He said Bob finna make a phone call to call his bro, His Excellency.
The Turkish guy.
You see, Hyro says Bob Arum is a hell of a promoter. Eddie Hearn can't promote dick in the USA.
Here we go.
That's right. That's right. BT, he has mandatory. Ray Marcabayo is next, and it's gonna be a year since he won the belt. All right, well there you go. Why not make it happen? Ray Marcabayo. Tell me, Maloney has Ray Marcabayo. That's a good fight. Caballo is a good fight. I remember years ago when Ray Caballo was a prospect and he fought Stephon Young down here in South Florida, and they were trying to prop him up as the next Filipino superstar, and that didn't quite work out when he stepped up to world level and fought Donaire and got knocked out, and fought Emmanuel Rodriguez and got a gift decision and got outboxed. We'll see. But look, it will be Caballo's what? That would be his what? Maybe his second. I'm gonna say maybe his second or third world title appearance, opportunity. So if they make Maloney versus Caballo, cool. That's a good little scrap. Caballo comes forward. He has a big aggressive style. And it'll be cool. But personally, I want to see the damn Saul Sanchez fight versus Maloney. Both guys are a credit to the sport. Both those guys are a testament for boxing, and that's what it is.
That was that one fight that we all wanted to see, that we didn't know was going to be one of the best fights in the whole card.
Yeah, so that's what it is. All right, my last point and the last topic, and then from there we'll freestyle the rest of the live. We'll get to that point. You can ask me anything, but Christian and Billy. All right, Christian and Billy. Let's talk about Christian and Billy now. Look, I'm gonna say it bluntly. There was talk after the fight for Christian and Billy about he called out Canelo. And I already told you guys what he needed to do to get that fight with Mauricio Sulaiman. Obviously, I can see you and say he could fight a guy like Dave Benavidez, because Dave Benavidez is WBC interim champion. But I think the fight to make for Billy is David Morrell Jr. Why? Because I feel like with the way the politics is going, Benavidez is going to continue on the Canelo train. He's not going to fight David Morrell, right? And if he's not going to fight David Morrell, he damn sure ain't going to fight no damn Christian and Billy, because Christian and Billy ain't as big of a name as David Morrell, right? So I feel like this is the fight to make. Stylistically, it's a great fight to make. And I'm not alone. I'm not alone on this, people. I'm not alone on this. Go back to the screenshot. I'm not alone on this, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Now, for a lot of people, it was their first impression of Christian Billy. I know for Pops, it was really his first real impression of Christian Billy. And
like everything about him.
In the fight, these were the stats. In what was it, 18 minutes? Fighting, 505 punches thrown.
Jeez.
84 punches per round. 52% of his punches landed, 52%, and 236 total punches landed.
This guy, I like him.
And he's got that real. I don't think when it comes to Billy's style, it's not just the fact that he throws a lot of punches. It's the way he goes about it. It's the angles. It's the ability to generate a lot of torque behind the shots, being in such a close range. A lot of guys can't do that. A lot of guys in boxing today, they need to be all the way on the outside to generate full power. This guy can be right on top of you and generate full power. Yeah. And it's the angles as well. So, when you get in Billy, you get a guy that's just entertaining. And, he's going to come forward. He's going to throw punches. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to try to get you out of there. There's no secret about what he's going to do.
But both of these guys they don't really sell that, though, right? They're not really that
and
big.
Billy hasn't fought in the States yet. Morrell just now starting to really name starting to pop.
Where's Morrell going to fight?
But Morrell, the thing is, Billy's ranked number 1 in WBA and WBC. Morrell has the WBA regular title.
Okay.
We know Canelo has the actual title.
Right.
We know Canelo's not fighting Morrell.
No.
Let's be real. That's never happened, right?
Billy either.
So look, people are excited about Billy. Top rank.
I like him.
Publicist. Shout out to Evan Corn. He says, let's just have Christian Billy fight on every show from now on.
He actually did good, man. I like him. I mean, why not make that fight with David Morrell? But I mean, they can't fight at the Armory anymore.
No, maybe they could.
So they close it down.
Maybe if because Morrell and Billy is not he's not a top ranked fighter. He's promoted by Eye of the Tiger Management. Okay. So that would all depend on the fine folks at Eye of the Tiger Management. If an offer was made to fight a guy like Billy, they would have to let him go to the Armory, or maybe try to get Morrell, overpay Morrell to get him to Canada It's got to be something like that.
Right.
But I agree. This tweet right here, I agree with it.
Right.
I feel like in Billy versus Munguia or Morrell would be a crazy box office matchup. Maybe not in terms of the sales, because again, and Billy's not known. I'm talking about in terms of the action, in terms of the exchanges we'll get in a boxing ring.
You're gonna get your money.
This is the fight. The streets want this fight.
Yeah.
This is the fight that got the boxing community on fire right now.
Yeah.
Christian and Billy versus Dave and Morrell. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Thrill Box Magazine, another one for Christian and Billy. I'll have to see him versus Morrell next. This is tweeted on the night of the fight. Back in December, my main man Will Lynch, he used to come here in Super Chat, and he was, I ain't seen him in a while, but he tweeted this too. Christian and Billy versus Dave and Morrell. 2 top 10 super middleweights, both knockout artists, regardless of lack of experience. And Morrell, he's actually younger and the taller of the two. I think this is the best non-title fight at 168.
Wow, okay.
And I would agree. I mean, technically, Morrell has a regular title, so you could say it is technically, but yeah, nobody has a belt. So yeah, I do think this is one of the most explosive matchups in the division. I don't think it's realistic for me to sit here and say, oh, Benavidez versus Morrell, Canelo versus Billy. That's not realistic. That's not realistic at all.
Mm-hmm.
I already know it. I already know them guys ain't gonna fight in Billy or Morrell. So the best available option, I feel, is them.
They'll each fight each other, no problem.
No problem. So Hyro says David would destroy that 5'8" wannabe Mike Tyson. That would require him to actually fight him, which I don't think he's gonna do. So
he said 5'8".
And Billy is not that good. He is the next Jarrett Hurd. Hurd never had stamina problems like him. You know what? I actually kind of agree with that. I think he's good. I do think he's good, but it's like the old Drake song says, I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like, the Billy style, it's fun while it lasts, but it don't last very long. So I feel like for him, with such a fan-friendly style where there's a lot of destruction involved, he's going to have to get these fights as quick as possible because he could fall off a cliff real quick. So
that's a good point.
Let me see. We got BT. What are your thoughts on the new? I got no comment on that. Let me see. And Billy is fun to watch, but his defense leaves a lot to be desired. At least this new crop of super middleweights are better than the ones we had in the past. Yes, this is a far cry from the days of when the guys like Callum Smith and George Groves. You guys remember when James DeGale versus Badu Jack was the fight to make it in the one?
DeGale. He retired a long time ago.
No, but I'm saying there was a point in time where the best fight to make at 168, number 1 versus number 2, was Badu Jack versus James DeGale. So we've come a long way since then in the 168 division. It's a great era for the division. So I like that.
Stay tuned.
I like where we're at with that. But look, guys, I've ran through pretty much all the topics. So if y'all get your questions in, we're like an hour and 12 minutes, and Pop's a little tired.
Yeah, man.
All right, so Pops, Pop's gonna sign off. Pops, give them your final thoughts. Give them your final message.
All I gotta say is, let's wait for Beterbiev and Bivol. Stay tuned.
There you go. So Pops,
Have a good
Pops
night,
gotta
guys.
go rest.
Yeah.
Pops gotta go get his medication in. But any questions, comments, thoughts you guys got? We'll make it an even 90 minutes. We're at 1 hour and 12 minutes, so we'll go 18 more minutes. Get your comments and thoughts in, and at the 90-minute mark, we'll wrap it up. But good to have you guys here. He says, BT, what do you think about that Undisputed Championship that they showed in the press conference? I didn't watch the press conference today. I'm not watching the press conference till tomorrow because I gotta edit like 20 videos before I go to sleep tonight. So more thoughts on that later on because I'm gonna go live twice tomorrow. I'm gonna go live to talk about Bumgarner and the WBC. I'm gonna go live to talk about whatever happened with Ngannou and AJ at the press conference. So stay tuned for that. People were saying Valdez and Liam Wilson is a lame fight, but I actually think it's a great fight. I think it's an amazing fight. I still haven't seen anything about it. So if it got made, then they're not doing a great job of promoting it. But if that fight really is made next, then great fight because Liam Wilson put up a great performance against Navarrete in the fight. He came as close to anybody to beating him. And then Valdez needs to win desperately. And I feel like Liam Wilson is beatable enough to where, that could be the fight for him. So good matchup. Gabriel has improved under the tutelage of his new coach, Donaire Sr. Okay. He's being trained by Nonito's dad. Cool. Good to know. Let me see. Who else we got? Jesus wants to know, BT, is Martin Bacoli versus Cassius Chaney a real test for both? You know, I saw that fight got ordered. I think they're fighting for like that WBA title that Manuel Char supposedly is gonna fight for. I like that fight a lot. I feel like, you know, Bicoli has had a hard time getting fights against names. Cassius Chaney's come off a good win where he literally retired Terry Bryan. And one thing about Cassius Chaney is Cassius Chaney has a lot of athletic tools. He's got a lot of gifts athletically. He's just been one of these guys where mentally and even experience-wise, he just needed to develop a little more. And I think this could be that part of his career. So I think it's a good challenge for Chaney. I think for Bicoli, Chaney is a step down from like what he's fought in the past. Like I don't think Chaney's on the Michael Hunter level or anything like that. But if Chaney wins this fight against Bicoli, all of a sudden you got to look at Cassius Chaney as a real player in the heavyweight division. You know, a guy that could, you know, not win a title or anything like that, but a guy that, you know, will be in the rankings, be in some good fights, fight some top 10 contenders and things like that. So, yeah. Thing is, a lot of people hate on Navarrete for the Wilson performance, but it seemed like Wilson got an extra shot on him while he was down when I go back and watch that. I haven't watched it since, but listen, I thought that the Liam Wilson fight for Navarrete was a fight where he showed some serious mettle. He showed some serious determination and grit to get through the fight, and I can't fault him for, you know, having a down night. Some guys have down nights, but it's not about having a down night. It's about, can you get it done when you have a down night? And he did. So, you know, boxing's a tough sport to please people. You know, people always critical. And Billy is just a modern day Edison Miranda, Jeff Lacey, and James Kirkland. Okay, well, look, those are all good fighters when they were in their prime. They were all fun to watch in their prime. Their styles aged horribly, but they added entertainment and value to the divisions they fought in. So there's no shame in that. Wilson doesn't have a very good chin. I think Valdez is going to stop Liam. We'll see. I'll tell you right now, if he don't go ahead and stop Liam Wilson, and he loses to him, it's going to be the end. It's going to be the end of the road for Oscar Valdez, because it's a crossroads fight, and they call it a crossroads fight for a reason. So if he can't beat him, that's what it's going to be. Tanks Williams says that Navarrete is his favorite fighter right now. Okay, well, you know, Vaquero's a hell of a fighter. You know, I had a chance to watch him fight. I watched Vaquero fight Christopher Pitufo Diaz on the undercard of he was the main event. He was the main event of that card in Orlando. And I gotta say, he's one of the best fighters I've ever seen fight live. You know, just the way he goes about pressuring fighters and in such an unorthodox way. It's one thing to watch it on TV, but I'll tell you this, man. Anybody who has a chance to go watch Vaquero Navarrete fight, go watch him at least one time before he retires. It's something to watch in person. Let's see. Please don't cover women's boxing, man. Alicia Baumgartner would get destroyed by a 12-year amateur. You know, I go back and forth. Like, I think over the last 6 months, I've gotten to this really interesting point in my life where it's like, you know what? I kind of do think sometimes like women's boxing is a little inhumane. Like, you know, women shouldn't be boxing. You know, they should be wives and they should be in the kitchen. These kind of things. But then at the same time, it's like I know a lot of women's fighters, and it's like I do have a bit of a soft spot for women's boxing only because the first gym I ever trained at when I was a kid was Bonnie Canino's boxing gym. So Bonnie Canino was like one of the pioneers of women's boxing. So for that reason, because of Bonnie Canino, I've always had like a soft spot for women's boxing. So I have this like internal struggle, you know, with some of my personal views on women and then, you know, my personal relationship with women. But, you know, this is the home of boxing. So I can't call myself the home of boxing if I don't cover like women's boxing every now and then. So I'm going to not like be a nerd and cover like everything women's boxing, but the big stuff like, you know, the Baumgartner stuff, the Michaela Mir, Natasha Jonas fight, you know, whenever Snisa and Yokovai gets made, I'll cover that. But yeah, it's been pretty, I've been pretty lax with the whole women's boxing coverage recently. So I'm going to probably try to pick it up a little bit. Why cover something that has nothing to do in the ring? It's bad enough we have politics. We don't need women's boxing politics either. We should have, honestly, women's boxing shouldn't have any politics because they don't make enough money to have politics. That's just the truth. Navarrete got slack for the draw versus Robinson, who's a gold medalist. Yeah, look, I thought Robinson Conceição barely nicked that fight, but he took a beating. He took a huge beating in that fight. And I feel bad for him because Navarrete is gonna beat the shit out of him in a rematch. Like I don't think he could fight that same fight again. I think Navarrete kind of figured him out, and he fought his last great fight. You know. Speaking of women's boxing, I'm personally not a fan of it. I don't watch it, but one thing I know of Julius from my IQ channel is he is the biggest simp of women's boxing. Yeah, look, I'm not gonna sit here and like. There's only a handful of women's boxers that I actually like to watch fight, which is like I like Sinisa Estrada. I like I do like Bumgarner. I do like Serrano. I do like Savannah Marshall. Believe it or not, I actually do like Clarissa Shields watching her fight. I mean, there's a couple. The ones that are like the top fighters. I like watching them, but that's not everybody. It's Yokobai. I like watching their fight too, but like it's just. I can't. There's too much to cover in boxing. There's too much. I've never even heard of Artur Beterbiev. Yeah, Artur Beterbiev has been number one in the WBO for years, or not number one, but he's been highly ranked for years. Skillful fighter. Solid boxer. I'm not gonna say no names, but I know for facts through just knowing people that are close to the top rank and whatnot that. A lot of named fighters that have fought on top rank at 130 have turned down fights at Artur Beterbiev. They've been ducking Artur Beterbiev. But yeah, tomorrow we are gonna dust off a little bit of this women's boxing coverage, only because it's such a big story. Alicia Bumgarner with the WBC reinstated her, but the Michigan Commission never cleared her technically, so it's a big thing. You do you. Personally, I don't think the name of the live should be Alicia Bumgarner. It shouldn't be the focus of the live. Well, that's why there's going to be two separate lives tomorrow. That'll be the afternoon show, and the night show will probably talk about something else. But look, women's boxing is trash. Yeah, I'll tell you this, man. I know recently Amanda Serrano ducked Sky Nicholson, who was her mandatory, because she said, she didn't want to fight 3-minute rounds. But then Amanda Serrano did all this advocating for 3-minute rounds. And when she got 3-minute rounds against that Ramos chick, she didn't even stop her. She didn't even knock her out. So it's like, come on. How you gonna advocate for all these 3 minutes? You get 3 minutes against a opponent you're supposed to beat the shit out of, and you don't knock her out. So Amanda Serrano got me to the point where I was like, look, I don't ever want to see 3-minute women's boxing rounds. They need to keep that 2 minutes because most women's fighters can't punch because by basic biology, they just don't get knockouts like that. Unless it's like Ann Wolfe or like Shadesha Green or something like that, they hardly get knockouts. So keep that shit 2 minutes. It creates a nice, volume punching type of a fight. And it's better that way. Hyro says, bro, women's boxing sucks, man. I know a trainer. I'm not gonna say his name, but I know a trainer down here in South Florida, and he always tells me, he says, BT, he says nobody wants to watch bitches box. So I'm gonna leave it at that. That's not me saying that. That's somebody else. Alicia Bumgarner may be fine, but nah, bro, it ain't worth the time. Well, look, I'm not gonna try to compete with Julius for women's boxing coverage, but every now and then I'll try to cover something, something big. Only the big stuff. Women's, but it's funny. This live started off as Beterbiev versus Bivol, but now it's like turned into a whole, to help women's boxing. I want 3 12-minute rounds in men's boxing. You think so? Fight to the death? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think it's a lot better when they do the 3-minute, the 2-minute rounds, because it forces them to work faster. You know, a lot of these girls ain't punching like that, so it doesn't make any sense for them to take their time because they don't got no thump. They don't got nothing to, you know, really put anybody out with, and that's just the truth. That's not hating. You know, I respect all women's fighters. I know personally in real life a lot of women's fighters. Shout out to them. They work hard. Some of them work harder than men, to be honest with you. But the reality is, it's just a better sport. It's better when it's 2 minutes, not 3. So keep that shit at 2 minutes, please. And the thing is, too, it's like a lot of people that don't like women's boxing, that don't like it. It's like they already don't want to see it. So why make it an extra minute? You know? When are they going to do another World Boxing Super Series tournament? Probably never, because the company. So the World Boxing Super Series was started by the Southerlands and this company called Camosa AG. But I know like after the second tournament, there was some issues with paying fighters after the second tournament. So after that, it kind of got discontinued and it faded to black. But I missed the World Boxing Super Series. I feel like a lot of fighters' greatness in boxing, like Naoya Inoue, Josh Taylor, Usyk, you know, these guys, was doing a large part to the World Boxing Super Series. The World Boxing Super Series was able to expedite a lot of guys' greatness in the sport. So, you know, if they could, if there's one thing I wish the Saudis could invest in, then I would love to see them reinvest into bringing that back and doing that for boxing. Because I think it'd be nothing short of a win for boxing. Zhang is gonna knock out Joseph Parker. I heard Wilder was offered a fight against Zhang and he ducked it like the hype job he is. I don't think Zhang is gonna knock out Joseph. I think I'm picking Joseph Parker to beat Zhang. I think Zhang is gonna get thoroughly outboxed and outworked by Joseph Parker, and that heavy-handed, aggressive counterpunching won't be enough for a guy like Parker who can punch, who can box, who's got a granite chin, who's got his experience. I'm gonna go with Parker in that one. In the meantime, is that gonna leave Hrgovic to fight? So I checked the rankings earlier, and basically Hrgovic. So Hrgovic is number 1. Olive was 2, right? But they haven't updated it on boxing scene. So it was Hrgovic, then it was Joshua, then it was Parker. Parker turned it down, but apparently, so number 5 was Jared Anderson, but apparently, as I was reading on Twitter, the IBF updated the ranking, so Anderson's not number 5 anymore. Number 5 is now Daniel Dubois. So we could get Hrgovic versus Daniel Dubois next. But I was kind of hoping Anderson would stay at 5 because I wanted to see if Anderson had the balls to take the fight, because me and Jared Anderson actually got into a little back and forth on Twitter because a couple of days ago, because this dude tweeted me, some guy who watches the channel, tweeted me saying that, hey, Anderson's calling your boy out and he's saying your boy's ducking Anderson. So I was like, I pretty much just told the guy the truth. I said, he's only calling him out. I told the guy that tweeted me, I said, hey, Anderson's only calling out Hrgovic because he knows that Hrgovic is next in line for a title fight and he's not getting that fight. So that's why he's calling him out. And then Jared Anderson didn't like that because I said that that Hrgovic called out Anderson for sparring when they were both in Houston and Anderson never turned up for it. And he didn't like that. And he was tweeting me going crazy on Twitter. So I'll have a video on that coming out soon. So stay tuned for that. You think Ken Shearer will go to 112 first or try to become undisputed at 108? I think he'll probably go to 112. I think the prospect of him going like undisputed at 108 have kind of sailed because of what happened with Jonathan Gonzalez. I know he's having a bit of a hard time making the weight. And there's bigger fights and better challenges up there at 112 for Ken Shearer. I would really like to see Ken Shearer go up to 112 and fight Sonny Edwards. I think that'd be a great fight. And I know Sonny Edwards has expressed interest in that fight, and he wants to go to Japan for it. So why not? It'd be a great fight for boxing. Is it true that Zhang tried to fight Wilder and Wilder turned him down? I don't know anything about that, but I know that that was a fight that was talked about. They were saying was going to happen, and now it's not happening. So it wouldn't surprise me because Deontay Wilder is at a stage of his career where he doesn't move for anything less than $10 million. If it's not $10 million, Wilder ain't moving for it. So that's just how it is. And I'm going to assume that the Saudis didn't want to give him $10 million for you know, all that. You know what? I'm gonna do this, guys. I'm gonna put a community post on the channel. Actually, nah, man. I'm gonna cover women's boxing. I got to, because this is the home of boxing. I won't cover it too much. Just the big stuff. The Alicia Bumgarner thing is a big story. So I'm gonna cover it. MEasyXB said, don't cover women's boxing, man. It's trash. We ain't gonna make Alicia relevant. Just wait for the Charlo brothers or Tank to get arrested. Shout out to my man Sean Noon. He says Beterbiev is underrated. He is, and I think people are just now really starting to catch on and understand the full scope of how good Beterbiev really is. So, yeah, man. I've never seen the chat so adamant on a unified front. I've seen people argue about Dmitry Bivol. I've seen people talk about all kinds of things, go back and forth. But I've never, ever had a 100% approval rate or agreement rate from the chat about me not covering women's boxing. Hyro says, you may be the home of boxing, but you don't even cover Bridgerweight. And that's how I know this is Hyro. That's a Hyro comment. Stop trolling Hyro. Who's Wilder going to fight coming off of a loss for big bucks? Nobody's going to pay him like the Saudis. Well, Sean, apparently they were trying to make him fight Zhang, but that wound up not happening. So, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know who he could fight. I mean, the only thing I could see that's always going to be in the back pocket is going to be a Joshua fight, because the thing is, the Joshua Wilder fight has so much history. They got so much between the pair of them that I don't see why. If Joshua didn't want to fight for the heavyweight title, let's just say Joshua beats Ngannou and the money wasn't to his liking for Hrgovic, then he could always do a hard pass on that and then go fight Wilder for millions of dollars in a winnable fight. BT, do you know that South Korea once had a strong boxing like Japan? They had many world champions up until 2000 when boxing pretty much died out. Yeah, man. I remember when I was so I think it was in 2021 when I interviewed Zhu Kan, who's from China, you know, the former featherweight champion or regular champion or whatever he was at 126. I was talking to him about it one day in the gym, and he kind of put me on game to like the fact that South Korea had a little thing going on in boxing. You mentioned South Korea's last champion, In-Jin Chi, who once fought Eric Morales. And it's funny that you mentioned that fight because my boy Sean Tatel, you know, he put me onto that fight. And that's actually his favorite Eric Morales fight, was the In-Jin Chi fight. So, yeah, South Korea had some great fighters. I mean, In-Jin Chi, Dooku Kim from back in the day. Hopefully they can regain some prominence, man, because boxing's always great when you have as many countries successful as possible. So, I mean, I'm not sure who they got there now who could actually go ahead and make a statement and be something in boxing. But, you know, shout out to South Korea. Hopefully I get a chance to go there one day. It's on the list. When is Sean Tatel going to come on the channel, man? We didn't get Sean Tatel in his own house. I don't know, man. You got to ask him about that. I can't even get Sean Tatel on the phone these days. He's been busy. He's got busy man, you know, covering boxing, covering the Raiders. He's got other family things going on. So, you know, I don't know, man. I was supposed to go on Fight Hype before Christmas because he asked me to come on, and then it wound up not happening. So, you know, I don't know. You got when you guys see him live again, you can go ask him. Go ask him yourself. Steelwater says the best timing and highest accuracy in boxing, pound for pound skill, number one, number two skill that beat the fastest boxer in the world. Beterbiev made his KOs with skill. Yeah, exactly. He made his KOs with skills, boxing IQ, the ability to adjust, the ability to adapt. He boxes the punchers and he punches the boxers, you know. In layman's terms, that's the best way you could probably describe Beterbiev and the way he approaches things and how he's went about getting these knockouts. Richard Torres took as long as Moses parted the seas to stop Curtis Harper. What's your take on that? Yeah, I was there that night, and I was there with my good buddy and heavyweight prospect Lorenzo Medina, who wound up actually kind of getting into it with Richard Torres after the fight, and I actually have it on video, but I can't post it yet. But I'll post it one of these days. I thought Timothy Bradley said it best. Timothy Bradley said he got to get better sparring to get him sharper. Richard Torres Jr. has a long way to go. He's got a long way to go as far as being a real factor in the heavyweight division. And I think Top Rank's going to move him really, really, really slow because the Curtis Harper fight was a great indicator that he's not even ready for a big step up in class. You know, to go that many rounds with Harper, he should have been blasted him out of there a lot earlier. But he's got work to do. So that's my take. Barbecue and beer is great in Korea. That's what I hear, man. You know, I know like in like the western part of the USA, like in LA, like I know they have a lot of Korean barbecue spots in LA and stuff. And I've heard a lot of great things about Korean barbecue. I never had Korean barbecue, but I've had Korean fried chicken. I had Korean fried chicken like 2 weeks ago here in Miami. But yeah, no, South Korea is definitely on the list. I love to go. You know, I loved Asia. I know, Sean, you're out there in Taiwan. I love my time in Japan, and I'm looking forward to hopefully going back to Japan in June and hopefully one day South Korea. A man right here says, I get AJ, but don't talk about just caring about getting a champion and then a total. I don't know what you mean by that. Curtis Harper, whose chin is maybe better than what his record suggests. Yeah, I mean, look, he's beating some prospects and whatnot, and he's won some rounds. So, you know, he's a veteran. He's a veteran fighter. Is it true that someone poked Ergashev with a spork leading up to the Matias fight? Yes, it 100% is true. It was reported a couple like about a week and a half ago from one of the Uzbek guys, insiders. Yeah, there was a picture posted of a stab wound from like 7 to 8 months before the Matias fight. So, you know, I'm not trying to make excuse for Ergashev, but he really looked off in that fight to me. That's why I was so pissed off when I watched it. I was so pissed off that you know, I wasn't even excited for Benavidez and Andrade after the fight. You guys were on that live. You guys know I wasn't even excited for Benavidez and Andrade because I was so pissed off that Ergashev didn't perform because I thought he was going to do a lot better than he did. So, yeah. Harold says, yo, BT, are you going to edit your videos after? Yeah, I am. I might call you for like an hour or two before I get into it. I got to edit like 23 of these things. I got like 23 of them. So much work to do. So I might call you before I just jump into my work. But look, guys, on that note, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Did I have money on Ergashev? No, I didn't have money on Ergashev. No, I didn't. Not at all. I don't bet on boxing like that. So I just like Ergashev. So I thought he was going to do better than he did. Funny enough, right? And I'll tell you the story and then I'll end the live. But Ergashev trains down here in South Florida, and I see him. I was seeing him a lot around this time last year, like last January last year when I was going to all these gyms like Delray Beach Boxing Gym, Warriors Gym. I would see him, and I would ask him about the damn Matias fight, and he would say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that," and so you know I've seen him fight before, so I knew he was a good fighter, and you know he had me gassed up, and I just wish I would have knew about him getting stabbed, so I wouldn't have I wouldn't have like gotten so gassed on him. But apparently he's gonna have a little fight coming up on March 26th, so he's not retiring. He'll be back in March, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Ergashev. But on that note, guys, look, I'll be live tomorrow. I don't know if now I'm kind of second guessing doing a live about Alicia Bumgarner, so it might just be one live tomorrow. Maybe it'll be two, but look, either way, there will be at least one live tomorrow. So stay tuned for the alerts and all the videos coming out. Go check out all the videos that I've already dropped. You know, definitely tell a friend, and look, a lot of great things happening here on True School Sports. Next live fight reaction, and I'll keep saying it every live, will be Tuesday night or Tuesday morning. Ken Shiro will be up early in the morning for the Japan fight for Ken Shiro versus Carlos Canizales. So make sure you guys don't make no plans and join for that one. Join for that fight. But you guys take care, be blessed. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.